children. How are you all? Okay, today we are discussing even in the June class also we discussed about the making of independent Indian constitution. So what is meant by constitution and how it runs, what is preamble and what are the rules and regulations, the set of the rules and regulations to go in a proper way. The constitution was framed, how it framed and how the making of Indian independent constitution we will learn. So before going to that, what are the keywords, some important keywords? While explaining the lesson, some suddenly some word comes, no, you will unable to, what's that, you will have a question. So first before that you will have an awareness about these particular keywords. Okay, keywords, meanings and explanation. So first, what is the first word? The unitary principles. What are the unitary principles? Supremacy of a central government. Supremacy of a central government and absence of subsidiary sovereign governments. So unitary government means unitary. That means central. Central government will have more power. Central government will have more power. Okay, remaining all subsidiary governments. Next, that is unitary principles. What we have to learn, supremacy of the central government and absence of subsidiary sovereign governments. Absence of subsidiary government, supremacy is only for central government, we have more power. Okay, next is federal principles. What are federal principles? Existence of central and state. See, we have in our constitution we have written a federal principle character, one character. We learned about the Soviet sovereign country, socialist country, okay, democratic country. We have liberty. These are all features are there. So like that, one more feature is federal principles. So what are these? What is this federal principle? Federal principles means the existence of central government and state government side by side. Here, the two governments will work simultaneously. Central government and state government. Central government and state government. Okay. So generally, what happens is central government have a higher authority. It is in Delhi, and state government means every state will have a special entity and special government. Why? Because every state will have a state government. By supreme power with that particular state. Why? Because we are all on a linguistic basis. On a language base, we have divided into many states, isn't it? So Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana, like that. On language basis they were divided. So when the language basis divided, here the central government cannot communicate with all the people. Isn't it? That's why we have a special governance, a special government for every state, and that particular state in their language, in whatever, for example, in Chennai, there is the secretariat, all the government works through Tamil, and in other place in Punjabi, in Karnataka, Kannada language. Like that, they have a special language, we can, government orders and all will communicate with that language. Okay, like that the state government will have a power within the state and central government also there for to take care of all the things. So that is called a federal principles. How you will write existence of central and state government side by side. Each government is sovereign in their field and in their field assigned to it. So if the both government simultaneously it works. Central government and state government. And state government will have total authority of that particular state. Telangana government, Andhra Pradesh government, Bihar government, like that. Okay. Next, third one is citizenship. What is meant by citizenship? A legal recognition of a person to in the field assigned. The legal government, the legal recognition of a person as a member of the country. Being a country, who are you? I am a citizen of India. How can we say? It is a legal recognition of a person that you are belong to so and so country. That is called citizenship. We are the Indian citizens. How can we say we have legal recognition? We born and brought up here. So our forefathers, ancestors, everyone born in India. So we have a legal recognition that you are belongs to so and so country. That is called citizenship. Next is amendment. What is amendment? Amendment means changes. Changes maybe that in the constitution. When we are in the long back in 1946 or 49 we started, and finally it is 1950 we have submitted that constitution, isn't it? So almost 70 years are there, 70 years over here, and but people were thought a lot of with the intellectual minds and with all the views according to technology and all, they have written the constitution. But sometimes according to technology, according to the people, according to the things are going on in the society and in the world countries, we have to change some rules and regulations from that time to this time. Maybe you have to change some rules and regulations. So for that reason, there will be amendment. Amendment means nothing but it's a change. So in that rules and regulations, we have to change some rules and regulations. Maybe we can add up some rules, or maybe we can delete the deletion of some rules, or we can add up some more changes should be taken place. So such things are called amendments in the constitution. If we are changing anything in the constitution, that is called amendment. So changes means either adding up is also there, deletions are there, or you can make some more things in that, some more statements we can introduce in that. So all these things are called amendment, simply changes in the constitution. Actually our constitution is a one more feature for the constitution is it is a flexible and rigid constitution. What is this? It is a flexible and rigid constitution, as well as a rigid and flexible. Flexible means easily we can change some rules and regulations in the constitution, easily we can change according to the time and all. But some things are we cannot change at any cost. If how we can change it in a flexible manner, if some rules, for example, even we have written the constitution long back, so some changes are there. So according to people and all, now that simple things we can change with the 2/3 majority of the parliament people, we can change that rules. But some rules are we cannot change at any cost until the constitution is there. Okay, so such things are, for example, human rights or fundamental rights. We cannot change that at any cost, because fundamental rights are, and that time and this time and after 50 to 100 years also, the fundamental rights are fundamental rights. Fundamental rights means right to live, right to work, okay, right to enjoy your life, right to eat, right to food. These are all the things you cannot change at any cost. So those are all very rigid things we cannot change at any cost. That's why some things we can change and some things we cannot change. That's why we call our constitution is a character of rigid and flexible character. Okay. And next is, after that, sovereignty. In the morning I said, what is meant by sovereignty? A supreme and independent political ownership. Sovereignty means a supreme power. What is the supreme power? I already said in the morning. Supreme power. The supreme power is in the hands of the people of a country or to the government. Not anybody else. Not anybody else. That means no other country should involve in our external matters or internal matters. So only within the country we have a sovereignty. Sovereignty means supreme power with the rest of the people or the country. It should not be involved in any our external matters. Nobody should involve in our external matters or internal matters. If we want to do some war, we have to, if it is genuine, we have to go with the war. Recently with the Pakistan, Modi did this, isn't it? So such things, that is entirely, that is a personal thing. The only extra, it's there, even it's external also, nobody should involve. Only no other country should be involved, and nobody should dictate the terms and conditions to the country. Why we have written all these things? Because when they were writing the constitution, they thought all these things. Why this was happened? Because 200 years we were controlled by someone, controlled by the colonial rule of British. So such a time what happened? We felt very bad and we suffered a lot, many things. So they have thought these are the things whatever happened in the past that will not be again it will not be come in the future. For that reason they have made this constitution. Almost about 3 years they have written the constitution. That's why our Indian constitution is the biggest, lengthiest written constitution in the world. Okay. And next one is constitution. I already said a body of fundamental principles or established precedents according to which a state or other organization is acknowledged to be government. So what is constitution? It is a set of rules. Set of rules. How the government should run the government. How the people should run the government. What are the responsibilities and rights of the people. See here the rights and responsibilities of the citizens. I said that when we have a right, then immediately in the you have a responsibility of the same time. When you are serve the country, when you are a citizen of the country, at the same time you have to save the country also. So both the things, rights and responsibilities are very important. So all these things, what are the fundamental rights, what are the directive principles, that means how the government has to run and what are the rules and regulations of that. What are the human rights and of the citizens and duties of the citizens, and what we have to do, how to run the government without any problem in a smooth manner. All these things will be we kept a set of rules that is called constitution. Okay, next human rights. You all know what are human rights. The main basic thing in the human right is a right which is believed to belong to the every person. Whatever right is there that belongs to a human. That's why it is a human right, the right to live. Somebody denies that you should not live, means it's not a right at all. So isn't it? Human rights means those rights which belongs, the human rights, a right which is believed to belong to every person. We will believe that it belongs to every human. When that human rights, see there is a difference between the fundamental rights and human rights. The fundamental rights, every country will have some fundamental rights in their constitution, isn't it? But human rights are everywhere same. It is in Amlapuram or Avaniganda or somewhere in America or Andaman. The human is human. So right to live is for everyone, right? If he is in South Africa, he has to live, right to live. And in America, he has to right to live. In Andaman, he has a right to live. So like that, every person will have a human right that is universal. Human rights are universal. But fundamental rights are different from the country to country. That is about the human right. And next is adult franchise. I already said many times we discussed. There is a right to vote after completing the 18 years old. We have a right to vote irrespective of caste, creed, gender, whether you are working or not working, whether you are in village or a town, whether you are in the girl or boy gender, okay, and whether you are educated or uneducated, irrespective of all these things, you have a right to vote after you completed 18 years old. That is called adult franchise. Those who are completed 18 years old, irrespective of gender, irrespective of caste, irrespective of creed, irrespective of whether you are educated or uneducated, rich or poor. These are all the things will be irrespective, and you have a right to vote after completing 18 years. That is called adult franchise. Next is independent judiciary. What is independent judiciary? A judiciary which is not influenced by any other factor of the governing system. See here only the name itself only you can easily understand independent. What is independent? Judiciary should be independent. Isn't it? I told you in the morning. There we have three departments will be there. Legislative department, executive department, and judiciary department. Legislative department will pass the laws, and executive department will see whether that laws are implemented by the people or not. And the judiciary will, though if they don't follow, if they don't implement the rules and regulations, the judiciary will take action. So such a judiciary always it should be independent. It should not have any bias, or you should not be influenced by any other government or any people or any influenced people or any rich people. So it should not be influenced. So judiciary always it should be independent. That is called independent judiciary without bias. Next is Constituent Assembly. Group authorized in having the power of framing or amending a constitution. See, the Constituent Assembly actually, when they were writing, when they are making the constitution, some people were voted and the Constitution Assembly was formed. These assembly have a right to amend the things, change the things. If any time to time, if any changes are there, any amendments are there, we have to that Constitution Assembly will change. So that is called Constitution Assembly. So far now, more than 100 times our Constitution was amended. So far now, our Constitution was amended more than 100 times. Okay, children. And next is Drafting Committee. What is Drafting Committee? The committee which was formed for the drafting of the Constitution of India. The Drafting Committee is actually once they started everything, and many people have given a lot of views and ideas about the making of Constitution and all. They made so many rules and regulations. After that, they scrutinized everything and finally they made a draft with 8 members. That is called Drafting Committee. For that committee, the Drafting Committee President is Dr. Babu Rajendra Prasad and Drafting Committee Chairman is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay, remember that, it will be coming in the objective time. Next is Parliamentary System. What is meant by Parliamentary System? Actually, India is a parliamentary system. A system of a democratic governance of a state in which the executive branch derives its democratic legitimacy and is held accountable to the legislative, executive and judiciary. Actually, ours is a indirect, parliamentary system is indirect democracy. Ours is a indirect democracy, India, and America is a direct democracy. Both are democratic countries only. But India is indirect democracy and the US is a direct democracy. Why? Because in the direct democracy, the president holds all the departments, executive, legislative and judicial departments will hold with the president only. That's why their president will have a supreme power. Why? Because the president will directly elected by the people there. Here the president in India, parliamentary system, we have parliament and Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha people are there, and Lok Sabha people will have more power because they will be directly elected by the people, and president is a nominal here, the first citizen of India, but he is a nominal here. More power rests with the prime minister and cabinet ministers. Okay, that is presidential and parliamentary system. Next is federalism. What is meant by federalism? A system of government which power is divided between the central and state. I already said federalism is the central and state. Our system, whatever system is there in India, it is called a federal features. What are the federal principles? I already explained. Central government and state government. We have two governments simultaneously works. The two governments simultaneously works. And here the central list and state list. What are the central list and state list? Generally, whatever the department comes under one particular category in the central government, those are all central list, and in that education and all will be there in the central list, and state list, every state will have individual list, so that will be covered. That means it's a judiciary, that particular state, and education. For example, IAS and IPS, those exams will be comes under central list. But education department both in central and state. For example, central schools will be there. All over India schools, central schools will be there. But it is taken care by the central government. And state list, within that particular state, they have different rules and regulations will be there. And one more is there, concurrent list. These concurrent list is either those departments will not be in the central list and state list. Those will be in the concurrent list. And next, fundamental rights. Every country will have fundamental rights. So in our country we have 6 fundamental rights are there. We learned in 8th class: right to live, right to work, and right to religious freedom. Okay. And these are all 6 fundamental rights will come in the fundamental rights. And directive principles of state policy. So what are these directive principles of state policy? Directive principles of state policy are how the government will run. How the government will run. They have already set of rules. Whether it is a BJP government, it's a Congress government, whatever government comes. But according to the principles they have to go. That was strictly fixed in the constitution. Okay, these are the directive principles. So these are the important keywords. You can understand, go through the lesson, and if you have any doubts, underline it, and you are raised in the Zoom class children. Thank you. Have a nice day.